This is To the Point, your briefing on Asia's entertainment business. I'm Janine Stein.
And I'm Patrick Frater.
And if it's happening in content, streaming, cinema, or corporate chaos, we're talking about it.
So let's get to the point.
We're going to open with some film catch-up. Patrick, over to you.
Thank you. Yes, last week we were talking a lot about the opening of Avatar in Asia, suggesting that this strength or weakness of the opening will tell us plenty about the state of the film industry, the state of the exhibition industry in particular in this region. And the film has now been open in some markets for 9 days, others for almost exactly a week now. So we've got enough results to start taking the temperature. And we can see that in China, at least, it's done pretty well, which is good because it's the biggest market in Asia. It started a little bit slowly, and then its second day, Saturday, was really sensational. And all the local tracking companies upped their estimates of where this thing would end up. However, more interestingly, it seems to be tailing off again, and those estimates are coming down.
What about Japan?
Well, that's interesting. In Japan, the film has completely tanked. It had a $2.9 million opening weekend, and that's really, really low, even for a Hollywood movie. Hollywood movies these days count $10 million as a reasonable success, but this film should have been not just a reasonable success, it should have been aiming far, far higher than that. And it's really missed that completely. In other markets, we've seen it more satisfactory. In Korea, it's done, I think, about $25 million in 9 days. That's okay, but it's not going to overtake Zootopia 2, which is clearly going to be the biggest film of the year in Korea, in this market and in many others. And that itself is interesting. Avatar, you would expect to be the biggest film of the year. It has been almost everywhere else it's released in the past, the two previous installments. And so, we've seen in box office history, the James Cameron films, Titanic, Avatar 1, Avatar 2. These are almost exceptional years. You have to discount, well, it ain't exceptional anymore.
What will China end up at, do you think?
The latest forecast from Maoyan, the ticketing agencies, about $155 million, which is about 70, 75, 80% of the previous film, which is exactly where one of my distributor friends said it would come in. So hats off to him. I think this it's important that the film does well. It's important for Hollywood that films do well. But it's not going to break very many records in China. It's mortal. That's my takeaway. This film is mortal now.
What about the rest of Southeast Asia?
We obviously have greater difficulty getting accurate figures and rapid accurate figures for Southeast Asia. But one where we have a very good supply of daily admissions figures, not necessarily gross figures, is Indonesia. Indonesia is one of the big growth markets in Asia because they're still building cinemas. Price points are lower and things like that. And there the film is doing very well. It has broken opening records. As we speak, it's getting close to 4 million spectators. So those are good numbers. But I see, there's a big difference between the developed, mature Northeast Asian markets, China, Korea, and the still developing lower cost markets, Indonesia and Vietnam. Vietnam has similar characteristics to Indonesia in that the industry is growing overall, and people are still building cinemas, and records have been broken multiple times this year by other movies. So I'm expecting it will do well in Vietnam.
I'm hearing about an Indian film called Dhurandhar. What's your take on that?
You've got good ears, Janine. Yes.
Just keep them open.
There is indeed a film called Dhurandhar. It's a kind of political action thriller called Dhurandhar. It will go into sequel because it's doing extremely well. We know there's a sequel. It is just about, as we speak, to break the $100 million global box office figure. 80% of that is in India, but 20% of that is international, with half of that international figure coming from North America. So it's spicy, it's full of action, and it's done pretty damn well.
How does it compare to other Indian films?
Not many films do $100 million anywhere. And this is quite good for the Hindi industry. And the Hindi is what we associate Bollywood with. But in the last couple
Yeah.
of years, people have been asking questions about the strength of Hindi language cinema because we've seen films from the South catching more of the headlines and breaking out. So this is a success for the Hindi industry.
Moving on to another issue that's maybe film related, partly film related, probably broader. China, Korea, Japan, and the shifting dynamics. I I have an opinion on how this all works, but tell me what you think.
Well, I've been looking at snippets of headlines. Some of them are solid and some of them are not. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're in the realms of Kremlinology here, and trying to read patterns and stories
Yeah.
between the lines or between the tea leaves, whatever you want to call it. But we've seen multiple headlines in the last few weeks about industry relations, entertainment industry relations between Korea and China improving. There's an example this week that there's likely to be a big K-pop concert in Hong Kong in early 2026, which will be streamed on Hunan TV, the state-owned
Yeah.
broadcaster in mainland China. That will be a new thing for at least first time in 6, 7, 8 years. We've seen many of the K-pop agencies been approached about talent availability. We've seen Kakao, which is one of the big Korean tech slash entertainment companies, enter into a joint venture with Tencent in order to launch a new K-pop chart. And earlier this year, there were other moves like that. Tencent bought the SM Entertainment shares that
Yeah.
Hybe were forced to sell. And so, you know, there's straws in the wind, which suggest that that relationship is improving. It's nothing concrete yet, and we've had a lot of false dawns in the past. So I'm not getting my hopes up too quickly, but there's a stream of snippets of news now.
I think on the TV side, the distribution industry and the production industry was really hard hit when the Korea, China, US missile defense issue blew up. That has never really recovered, but everyone lives in hope. There was some official movement, I think last year, or very, very early this year, which indicated that there might be a thaw. Obviously, there's nothing official on the entertainment side, but with China's relationship with Japan quite fractious at the moment, I think that the Koreans are very hopeful because, as one distributor said to me, you really can't fight with all your neighbors at once. So I think the Koreans certainly are moving to 2026 very hopeful that things will thaw. Japan, I don't know, not so much.
I think that's right. You're right to point to the political roots of these disputes. I mean, these are not disputes which have been sparked by anything that's happened in the entertainment industry itself. It's purely political, and the Chinese government has used entertainment as a very low cost proxy for a battle with Japan or a battle with Korea, first of all, over missiles, and nothing to do with pop music or movies at all. And
Well, one could argue that it's like the soft power is the most powerful power of all. So,
you absolutely could argue that, but I think it is mostly a proxy, and the shift in Japan's relationships has been so rapid, and so clearly timed to follow the remarks from the Prime Minister about Taiwan, that I think that the political is actually first, rather than the soft power is
yeah,
following.
yeah, yeah. I'm completely with you on that one.
I think there's something that's very interesting and also very unfair about these bans. I mean, I don't know how aware you are of real world implications for the companies and sometimes individuals as well. I'm going to give you an example. Earlier this year, I think it was about 3 or 4 months ago, there was a Disney Plus TV series, Korean TV series called The Tempest, which starred Jun Ji-hyun, one of Korea's biggest female stars. And in this, her character says, I'm quoting directly, why does China prefer war? A nuclear bomb could fall near the border. It's a political thriller, so it's not surprising that line was spoken. But nevertheless, Jun Ji-hyun has suffered real world consequences in China. Millions of people took to their keyboards in China to say awful things about her. She lost sponsorship, commercial endorsements, and all these things, and it's cost her probably millions of dollars. And I'm thinking this is so unfair. There was a real world impact due to the words of a character. Well, first of all, people are not separating the actual person, the actor, from the character. And then secondly, this was all to do with a show which was not legally available in China. And I checked with Disney. You know, this show was never licensed to any platform in China. So these were people who were jumping with VPNs, jumping the border in order to make political comments of their own. And it felt very harsh, and I thought unfair. But it also reminded me how the 6, 7, 8 year ban on Korean content in China is an official ban, but there's been huge and rampant piracy, which the Chinese government could have stopped but chose not to. It has allowed, therefore, financial punishment of the K-pop industry and the Korean drama industry due to this political dispute.
Well, I look, I don't think this is this is not unknown territory. I think when producers or creators put lines like that in, you have to assume there's going to be some political fallout. There are so many examples through history of this kind of backlash. So I don't know that you cannot be walking into the situation blindfolded. Not the actress, not the cast, not the producers, no one. Not the platform. And the fact that it's not legally available in China is largely irrelevant. We all know everything is going to be available everywhere. So that kind of the kind of mindset that says because it's not legally available and because it's only entertainment, I just think when you operate in that, and then complain about the backlash, I just don't know where you're coming from. Have you been sleepwalking? Are you under a rock? Have you been living under a rock? We all know when you write about certain markets and certain situations, we know where the lines are, what you can say publicly, what you expect people to read between the lines. This is not secret. So I feel sorry for the actress who's getting punished for something that was no fault of her own, other than that she saw the lines and she actually read them. The actress could have easily said this isn't going to happen. Her agent could have said this isn't going to happen. There are like 50 million people who could have said this is a high budget production, who could have said, and I'm being realistic. I'm not being idealistic. There's just much broader issues at play.
Yes,
I'm just trying to be really practical about where the commercial and where the commercial and the political lines go. I have sympathy, but I don't. So that's where I am on that.
okay. Well, I will just let's finish on that
But it's
topic.
a good one. I mean, it's a good one to point out.
I just feel that cancel culture is such a blunt instrument. You know, it hits your target, but also sprays your hatred all over the place, and I think that's unfair.
I think the nuance of operating in an environment that is so potentially explosive is so sensitive. I think you really have to have political skills in every single thing you do. And I don't know that that's a terrible thing, but I agree with you on cancel culture. I also think countries have political agendas, and we all have to be aware of what they are.
You have a show you wanted to talk to me about.
I know. Can I just be trivial for 2 seconds, like maybe 2 minutes? I won't be totally trivial. The Price of Confession, absolutely masterpiece, so superb. I loved. It was just all the right beats were there. Keeps you on the edge of your seat. But the lipstick, it really bothered me. So I felt myself getting really distracted by the lipstick. It was this like dark red. So I'm thinking, it's so masterful. It's so beautifully done. It can't be an accident that the lips are that color. So I started going online, and the viewer quotes on the lipstick, I was like, other people who've watched it said, I didn't notice the lipstick. I'm like, were you not looking? I mean, were you watching it on a mobile phone? So this dark red lipstick, I thought it has to have a meaning. So I go on the viewer quotes, and some people, so in some of the scenes, the lips are really, really pale, which made me think there was some ulterior motive, some theme, something the director was trying to say. And then some of the viewer quotes were, the lipstick choices are so grey. Is this meant to show depression? Or is the makeup artist mad at her? And I was worried. I was thinking about the really dark red lipstick. And then other people were saying, I can't tell if the makeup is intentional symbolism or just really unfortunate color grading. So it really wasn't only me. I was thinking there's me being the crazy one. And then others said, the brown purple lips are doing too much. Totally agree. Another one, K-dramas usually do flawless beauty. This one feels aggressively unflattering on purpose. So maybe it was intentional. I just don't believe it was unintentional. Just can't figure out what they were trying to say. And then this was totally me. I put it last. The lipstick is stressing me out more than the plot. So on a completely trivial note, the lipstick, the price of confession, somebody please explain it to me because I can't get it. And then
Someone who does not have a lipstick fetish, someone who can watch it objectively and coldly and tell you what the symbolism is.
well, can you please?
I don't know. I shall have
Can
to
you
watch it.
please? It's amazing. It's crime, it's drama, it's very bloody, which I like. But the lipstick, sorry, something weird. And even the men have lipstick too. So I was thinking it has to be. I'm going to email Netflix and ask them what's with the lipstick. The other thing, the much more important thing that I wanted to talk about today, and I know that you have some opinion on this as well, is that Vidio, the streaming platform in Indonesia, has put out their year-end report. They don't have to. I don't think they've done it before, not so publicly, but they're saying that the total watch time of the industry increased by more than 34% year on year. So this year compared to last year of streaming, and the average watch duration per viewer grew by 22%. I mean, that's really significant. And then the thing that I like most is that female viewers were up 31%, and they watched 89% more than they did the previous year. Male viewers in comparison were up 6%, and their total watch time increased only 24%. I mean, this could be, I haven't really drilled down into it, but it could be a function of the kind of shows that they've been making. It could be they made one really big zombie like apocalypse drama, so it could be women really like that, but I'm just not sure. There was a huge increase in young viewers. So the 18 to 24 age group was up 65% in watchers, and total watch time was up 190%. So that's gigantic.
Remind me, Video has a hybrid business model. It has ad tiers, or is it all subscription?
Video's got a hybrid, so it's some ad tiers. You watch a few episodes, and then you go to pay. They're the biggest domestic streamer in Indonesia. I think they've got something like 5 million subscribers. I think it's 5 million. Sorry, I need to check that. But they're part of the MTech group, which also owns all the free TV. It's got a lot of other businesses. So they do have broad and deep reach. But even so, these increases are huge. I mean, they do charge.
Yeah.
So they're not free.
No.
I think they've been programming more strategically. What do you think?
Well, I'm interested first of all in any growth in the pay TV the paid subscription, the premium subscription market and model, because I think that is interesting that you're also seeing therefore a maturity in customers, people making commitments to watching things, putting their wallets where their mouths are, not just watching the ads, which it strikes me as more passive. But the other slightly more macro point that I was going to make is that it's interesting to see subscription TV, pay TV, SVOD growing in Indonesia. where also box office is growing, theatrical box office. And in many other countries, we've seen a trade-off as one has grown, the other has dropped. And Korea is the prime example of that. The Korean
Yeah.
theatrical industry is in deep trouble at the moment, but it's a very rich and deep streaming market. And Indonesia is one of the interesting exceptions where both streaming and theatrical industry are growing in parallel. That's a rarity, and it probably speaks to the level of development, economic development of the country. But it's certainly interesting to see.
So there's kind of just looking at the just the broad market. I think people are going into 2026. Obviously, video is optimistic. It's a great way to end the year. What's your headline of the week?
Well, my headline of the week is something I just grabbed from the New York Times, talking about the K-pop industry.
It's a good one.
It's a fascinating piece. I think the title is about K-pop battling its demons. Obviously, there's a joke, there's a pun in that headline referring to demon hunters and various other things. But it's a fascinating look. It seems to be on the surface discussing this battle between New Jeans, which is one of the hottest K-pop girl groups around, and its long battle with its own management and with Hybe. But the story broadens out, and it's really quite fun, and it talks about how the K-pop genre is now big enough to be satirized, which I like. K-pop is now 30 years old, but in the last year it's truly gone global, partly due to the film K-pop Demon Hunters.
Which was an American film,
Which was
by the way.
American-Canadian film made by Sony, yes, with co-directors who are American and Korean-Canadian, and shown by a global platform exclusively.
Netflix.
Netflix, indeed. But the article was so much fun to read. It's quite entertaining. It's also looking forward to next year when it says the biggest news in K-pop for next year is already announced, which is the return to recording of BTS. They will have albums and tours, presumably. But they also said that here's the phrase, K-pop is entering an era in which K-pop is an influence, a starting point, but perhaps not a destination. In other words, now this is now a movement. It's like saying rock music or reggae. It's not one thing anymore. Everyone has their own interpretation and can be playing part of it.
Well, you mentioned K-pop Demon Hunters. I will just add a small thing, given that I'm really my Netflix. I spend too much time with Netflix. K-pop Demon Hunters is now on their top 10 global movies, English. Well, they classified as English language movies for 27 weeks in the top 10. That is just like other films on their latest top 10 is like 2 weeks, 13 weeks. Dr. Seuss, The Grinch. The Croods, New Age, 4 weeks. My Secret Santa, 3 weeks. Murder in Monaco, 1 week. Cowboy Christmas Romance, 1 week. So the other one that even beats Super Mario Brothers movies, which has been on the top 10 for 24 weeks. So K-pop Demon Hunters, go.
Go. And I think maybe that's time for us to go, Janine. This has been to the point.
Happy holidays to you, and we'll see you again in the new year.
I look forward to seeing you in the new year. Have a good one.